The idea of kind of having samples where you haven't met the guy, can't dictate the key, and you can't dictate the speed, that makes it a little bit more challenging. So it's trying to find things that are going to blend together. I think probably would have set some rules saying the BPM to work to. You could probably do it where if you... I don't think it necessarily needs a platform, because then that takes away from the idea that everyone's never met, because if they're talking they're getting an idea of what everyone does. Internet projects take place all the time, whereas this way, if you just kind of said, right, there's 3 genres to choose from, so say classical, reggae, or I don't know, indie, then they could then make a sample within that and say, right, I've made an indie sample which is 90 BPM and its note is C, you know, so it's in the key of C, and then everyone else could work to that, and then they could move on to the next genre or do something like that. I think that could work quite well. But yeah, I think the idea of not knowing each other is actually quite interesting, because that can sometimes cause conflict as well. You might want to do something to attract, but then the other person might want to do something completely different, whereas this way no one's got a choice to kind of put their word in. So, you know, they can't stop me from chopping up what they've done, whereas if they were in the same room, they say, well, I don't like that echo, I don't like what you've done to that, I want that in there as opposed to this. But I think what would be nice is if you knew who the person was who was going to be composing it, they then get to dictate the instruments that they could have in there. I probably would have said, right, I'd like a string section, or just even if it's just a violin, a guitar which you've got, drums which you've got, probably some keys of some description. I think with the bass, there was some really bizarre sounds in there, whereas it would have been better if there was a wider range, so it was kind of, you know, different sounds, different keys, different chords, so that there's more to play with. So it's a really good concept. It'd be tweaked to be even better. I think it's good. I mean, I think it's something that musicians forget about, is the fact that a lot of them, you know, a kid who starts playing guitar at 8 years old isn't going to be like, well, I'm only going to play if I get 50 quid for doing it. You know, and people forget that mentality and often kind of think, well, it has to be for money. You know, I mean, I'm self-employed. This is my living. I teach young offenders and students who are mainly teenagers, plus I do engineering work, you know, and that's my livelihood. But at the same time, I love music, and that's why I have my own band and why I remix stuff and do podcasts and lots of free things. I think a lot of people forget that music's supposed to be a passionate feeling, and if it's not there, it's not worth doing. So, you know, it's good to see that there's people of differing levels, and obviously some of the people are very well known who are involved in it as well, and the fact that they're still doing it kind of gives you hope that people on all levels are interested in their music still. It's a really interesting project, and I mean, it would be nice to see other elements incorporated, like DJs, get some vocalists. I think it could keep on going on, but I think it would be good if there was a common aim. The idea is to get 10 tracks down and to release it via this route, whether it's CD, whether it's online, whether it's a final performance. You know, just have it so that, because I think all musicians like to know why they're doing something. If you're just creating something, you don't quite know why you're creating it, you haven't really got that full feeling with it. So yeah, it's nice to know where you're standing. But yeah, I mean, it's really good that everyone's getting involved for free.